Welcome to another Memphis drawing. We're continuing on our 200 drawing prompt book. Today we're up to drawing prompt 139, Fireflies. Here's our drawing for today. So if you want to see how we did it, stay tuned, because that's what we're going to do. Well, here we go. I've got focused on that dot right there. Today is December 22nd, Friday, I guess, and our prompt is fireflies. We used to call them lightning bugs too. I remember the first time I ever encountered them. I think I was about 10 years old, and I was visiting Indiana, visiting my grandparents. They lived, this was 70 years ago. They lived on a farm. It was real dark. There were no cities around. Back in the day, you could see dark was dark back then. And I saw lightning bugs for the first time, fireflies, and I was fascinated. We lived in the Mojave Desert at the time, and I was just fascinated to be in a place that had trees. But anyway, I saw those lightning bugs, and I was just absolutely taken aback. I'd never seen bioluminescence. I didn't know that it was common, and I just was fascinated. But anyway, I decided I wanted to see one of those lightning bugs. So what I did is I went out and caught one. Well, that was my first disappointment, because they were easy to catch. And I thought, man, something this magical that's this easy to catch. And of course, the reason they're easy to catch is because they don't depend on stealth or teeth or anything else for defense. They're one of those animals that, taste bad, like butterflies. And a lot of animals, their biggest defense is the fact that they don't taste very good. And they advertise that fact by having, yellow and red coloration. Well, anyway, I caught the lightning bug, and you know what? It looked like a bug. I got a picture of what I'm talking about. It just looked like a bug, and I was so disappointed. I thought anything that magical, lighting up the forest that way, would, I don't know, I wasn't expecting it just to look like a beetle. So anyway, that's what they look like. They look like, when they're not flying, they just look like beetles. They got these little covers here. These things flap open, when they want to fly, and then they have 2 wings and got 6 legs, and of course antenna, and their luminescent rear ends, their bioluminescence. They actually can, when you get down close to a lot of species, it looks green. From a distance, it looks white, but when you get up close, it's green. And so I colored this one in. Deal is the prompt is fireflies, so they want more than one. So we have one here. He's sitting on the leaves, and I think this species here, the female, sits on the leaf near the ground, and the male, and I've got the male flying here, starting to draw the male flying. He beeps a series of flashes, and it depends on the species, 4, 6, 8, whatever, and then he'll look in the foliage for a female to beat back, and that's how they communicate, you know, during when they're in season. And there's lots of different life cycles for these things. Some of them lay eggs in the water, and the eggs hatch and mature underwater. And some lay eggs on the ground in leaf rubble, and then what happens is they grow up, the larvae grow up, but then they hibernate over the winter, and they pupate in the spring. And some species the adults pupate, and I mean they overwinter as adults. Probably seen these kind of wings when they come out of their crucible. These wings are little stubby affairs, and they sit there and they kind of pump them, and it pumps air into these little veins, and these wings are like filled with air. And then this part right back here, this is the shell. These little shells right here, these things open up like trap doors, and they hold them out behind them. Not a very efficient. I don't know. I think I'll make this a little bigger. not a very efficient flying method. Now, in terms of their bioluminescence, the chemistry for bioluminescence is not consistent across species. They all catalyze magnesium and oxygen to make cool light. They call it cool light. And that was another thing as a kid I wondered about. I said, well, how come they don't burn up when they make that light? You know, because I was only the light I was familiar with was, you know, candles and light bulbs and all that stuff. Well, they only produce light in the visible light spectrum. They don't produce infrared or ultraviolet. And of course, infrared, that is what we recognize as heat. And of course, we've kind of copied that in our modern technology. You know, that's the reason LEDs and even fluorescent lights don't produce as much heat, because they're not producing, they're only producing light in the visible spectrum. Okay, these shells right here, if you look at them real close, it's like a series of scales. They're kind of serrated in a way, you know, with little flat surfaces, and they glisten like jewels in the daylight. So, and they got this yellow band around there. So I've caught it. This is the yellow band. I don't know, I'm going to suggest some. So what I'm doing here is putting in those Okay, they have, I think, about seven sections. Now this back foot is kind of weird looking. It's got a little hook on it. And I don't know what its purpose is. And this is the business end here. When you're drawing insects and that kind of stuff, you just kind of make it look like you planned it that way, and you usually get off pretty easy. See, I tucked that that section of the abdomen into the other one. I mean, that's happens to be right, but even if it wasn't right, it would look like it was right. You know what I mean? As I said, there's lots of different bioluminescent animals. I actually was in the Navy for 26 years. Spent a lot of time at sea. And as your ship passes through the ocean, you just have a giant trail of fluorescent glow in the water from the phosphorescence from the plankton, bioluminescence of the plankton. Okay, let's outline this thing in black. The antennae are have these little dots on them. And then I'll put little lines to show you what I mean. So what I'm doing, there's the dots. I'm going to draw little lines between them just like this. You might not be able to see that fine detail, but that's the effect I'm going for. Where's my target? There's my target. There's my thing. There's one species of firefly that imitates the females imitate the mating flashes of another species. And then when the male flies down, she eats them. They have compound eyes, of course. I'll make these eyes. I'll make these eyes black because, or red, because see, you can see in this photograph, it's kind of blurry, but see how the eyes are kind of black or red? So that looks kind of cool. So we're going to do that. I'm going to have one of the front legs kind of pop up here. Okay, we got the mouth parts, and here's the chin and the belly. And then this part right here, with the black, pink and yellow, it's this part right up here. Get that in there. And make sure to make it the right color. And here's our little leg. Okay, then our little beetle shell. We don't have fireflies that I've ever seen in this part of South Carolina. There are fireflies in South Carolina. As a matter of fact, there's a couple of famous locations in South Carolina. But they're kind of particular about where they live. Some of them are omnivores. They'll eat anything. Some species will only eat, a certain kind of flower. Depends on, depending on the species. And that's always a problem, especially if the environment changes. Okay, now for the wings, I'm going to make sure I define the root of these wings. And they're narrow up here at the top, where I'm drawing right now. And then they widen out. And then this is the wing behind it. These, I don't know if I'm skilled enough to make it happen, but these things are just cellophane thin, and you can actually see the other wing through it, or at least a shadow of the other wing. And then the little vanes. Kind of like the wings of houseflies. You know, they're not designed to last very long because the lifespan isn't very long. There's no, you know, once these wings give out or get broken, the animal's toast. Okay, and then here's the thorax. And a little this is the little hooked foot here. You hear that kind of a buzzing sound in the background? Well, I live in South Carolina, but it's been cold here for, I mean, not cold. It's 30 degrees outside. That's not cold, but it's too cold to be sitting in my shop. Okay, what do you think? Okay, let's get some yellow here. I want to get some bright yellow. Here's a Here's a bright yellow ink pen. So what I'm doing is right here between these dots, I'm coloring this in. You probably can't see it on camera, but just a subtle detail. see if this pen works for me. Let's do this tail, some of this fluorescent kind of color. This is about the right color. When you have one in your hand, you're looking at it, it's kind of green looking. I'm going to put a little shine here. See, I should be doing this in black background. Now I'll put some detail. The tail. Let's continue with our ink pens here. Okay, that right there is this little part right there. So now I need some yellow. Right here I have to make sure that I don't overspray my leg. There. Okay, now these wings, as I said, are very thin, so we're going to be able to see. There's going to be some red. think we've got to go to down here. We'll kind of go to this orange color. Now let's go to brown, if I can find some brown. No, it's too dark. Let's try this color. Where's that color I said was too dark? Is this it? Nope. This is dark umber. On the leg, we're going to put in here like this. Okay, now we need to, on our little bug here, get these blue stripes kind of defining the, the corrugated, that's the word I was looking for, this kind of corrugated shell. So we'll put some blue, kind of define those corrugations. And these kind of flare out at the top because this wing is facing towards us. So we want to foreshorten it a little bit and do that by using a little perspective. Now I'm going to use some black. This is black. Yesterday I had that long form video, and I did okay. So, and one person even said they kind of liked it. So, I'm going to try long form again today. We'll see what happens. Okay, let's try gray. I don't know what we do. We'll use black for the bottom wing. And put a little black kind of shading behind it, kind of suggests that other wing. And then we'll use gray, if I can find it. Gray, gray, gray. Silver's kind of gray in it. I got a million pencils here and I can't find gray. There it is. Okay, there's my gray pencil. I can't tell the difference between gray and black. All black is or gray is black. You don't rub in too hard. Let's make that eye black. I was going to make it red, but his body here is red, so that, I mean, you know, I think black is actually the correct color. I don't know, I think that's about it. So there's my thing, Fireflies. And today's date is Friday, (22) December. I said yesterday was the first day of winter, but I think the 22nd is the first full day of winter. Okay, there we have it. Our prompt for prompt 139, Fireflies. It asked for fireflies, so it wanted more than one. So we put a female on the leaf, and we got the male flying. And they're both lit up. Okay, let's see tomorrow's prompt. Witches Brew. Well, that's going to be a hard one. But we'll figure it out. Hope to see you then.